I've got on the channel today a Maen Brooklyn 36. This is called a triple calendar. And it's the third Maen watch that I've got on the channel, and I'll tell you what, it's finished just as good as all the rest. Excellent polishing, brushing, very nice sharp edges, a really refined quality piece. Now it's an unusual watch because coming in at 36mm diameter, you expect the legibility to suffer. And yet the reading experience from those sub-dials, extremely clean, extremely easy to read. Now you saw the pop-up, Maen will be providing me with a watch of my colour choice. However, as with any manufacturer or supplier that sends any product into this channel, they have zero input into the review content. I'm going to tell you what I think, good, bad or indifferent. And speaking of colourways, there's quite a few variations of this particular watch, from panda to reverse panda and different colour tones. And what I've got in my hand is a sunburst pie pan dial. And the term pie pan describes the dial when it's angled down at the edges. For example, if you've ever seen an Omega Constellation, those sort of dials, that's classified as a pie pan dial. Now in this case, the chapter ring is sunken down to a lower level than the actual dial. And not only that, the sub-dials at 9 and 3, they're also at a lower level. And there's a nice contrasting finishing between the sunburst dial to the sandblasted finishing of the chapter ring and sub-dials. So the contrast has been great, the legibility has been great, and the texture has also been enjoyable. Now this is not a perfect watch. There are several flaws in this particular unit that I'd like to see changed, but before we get onto that, if we have a look at the specs of the watch, I measure a case diameter of exactly 35.9mm and a case height of 12.8 to the top of that boxed dome sapphire crystal. The crown I measure at 4.9mm, it's a push-pull crown, it's signed, the watch offers 50 meters of water resistance, and the total weight sized to my 18cm wrist, I measure exactly at 115 grams. And coming in at 36mm, the footprint is ideal. It's probably about the smallest watch that I could possibly get away with. You can see the lug-to-lug of 45.8, no problems. Even the height coming in at 12.8, that's been fantastic. So it's been a really comfortable, enjoyable experience on the wrist. The bracelet, as you can see, is a Jubilee style bracelet. The center links are highly polished and the outer feature fine satin brushing. At the moment the bracelet has split pins, however they will be changing the production version to screw pins. And if you look at the clasp, we've got a twin deployment butterfly. Pressing both the buttons it easily opens up, and the comfort factor has been absolutely superb. Also, looking closely at those end links, they're solid end links, they're female. As you can see, the bracelet pops straight down. Very, very nice articulation. There's really nothing to complain about here. The comfort factor has been good, the flexibility has been just enough to give you a really comfortable experience on the wrist. And apart from those split pins, which will be changed to screw pins on the production version, there's really not much to complain here. Now I did mention that the watch is called a triple calendar. You've basically got the day at the 9, the date at the 6, and the month at the 3. And the way to adjust them, you pull out the crown to the first position and you can adjust the date and the day. So if I turn the unit clockwise, you can see the date adjusting. If I go anti-clockwise, you can see the day. Nice healthy snap. And the way to adjust the month is through that side pusher. Basically by depressing it the required amount of times, you can get the right month. And the watch is designed to cycle through 31 days and then it'll click over. So on those odd months, you manually change it yourself. Now if I turn my attention to the lume of the watch, there are dots placed at every single marker all the way around. Also those hands feature very thin slits which are lume filled. Now if I was to walk in from an outside sunny day into a dark room, you'd see the lume. But does it last? Not really. Between 3 and 5 minutes, you pretty much lost that lume. So don't expect the dive watch experience. Now if we turn the watch over, you can see there's a solid case back and it has the word prototype on it. So this is not a production version. You're going to see imperfections, flaws, that's a given. And behind that case back is the Miyota 9122 automatic. A very reliable movement, very solid. Being encased behind a solid case back, there's really no issues to worry about regarding rotor noise or anything like that. So well done. The watch is going to come in at €599. It's going to be available for pre-order on their website on the 15th of March. However, if you sign up to their waiting list, there's also going to be an additional €40 reduction in that price. Lastly, if we draw our attention to that case, you can see it's very highly polished, very reminiscent of an oyster style case, brushed on the top. In fact, they've mentioned that the brushing on those lugs will be changed, it'll be more prominent, and they've even given me a photo to show what that finishing is going to look like. So I think attention to detail, they've done really well in this watch. It's not only been a pleasure on the wrist, but it's actually been an extremely legible experience on the wrist, and that's been a good thing, especially for a 36mm. So what are the positives and negatives of this watch? And for me, first and foremost, even though that crown is only 4.9 mil, it is quite easy to grab and manipulate. The knurling's good. The way that it's a barrel crown, it's quite easy. My only gripe is that it's very difficult to hack. You can't grab it from anywhere except right underneath the watch. But I've been in touch with Maen and they've actually instructed me, they're changing that crown. It's going to be a lot easier to grab and to hack, so there shouldn't be an issue there. Secondly, the watch only offers 50 meters of water resistance. And for me, I would have loved to see a screw down crown and potentially raised up to 100 meters, bringing this piece more into the sports watch territory. Third negative of the watch I'd probably have to say is that lume. There's no real pop, it doesn't last that long. There's an initial burst, but it just doesn't last after 4 or 5 minutes. But like I mentioned, it's not a diver's watch. The fact that you've got a little bit of lume there, it's harkening more to your vintage type style of watches. And that's pretty much it on the negatives. I was going to mention the fact of micro adjustability, but again, it's been a comfortable experience. The links are so small, it's extremely easy to find a good comfort point, so I didn't bother including in the negatives. Looking at the pluses of the watch, first and foremost, wearability at 36mm, it's been great. Legibility has been really good. I've been actually surprisingly good. I did mention that the printing is very crisp and sharp, very clean, extremely easy to read. So that came as a surprise throughout the week. It could have something to do with this colorway. It's so easy on the eyes. Potentially some of the other colorways might not be as good. I don't know, but I'm saying on what I've got in the hand, it's been great. That box dome sapphire crystal has been really nice. It's a very nice vintage feel, vintage look. They did mention they're going to put more layers of anti-reflective coating on this crystal in the production version, but I've got to be honest, I've really not had an issue with this particular one here. So this has been really good. And again, that might come down to the fact it's a lighter dial rather than a darker one. Another positive has been the comfort on that bracelet. It's been so good. It's been so easy on the wrist. And speaking of the bracelet, they've also, I actually noticed these today when I finished the review. There was 2 of these were in the actual box. I didn't know when the watch came in. I only saw them today, and yeah, you've got a grey one as you can see, or a black one. So for me, I haven't tried it on these, but I've got to be honest, if you're going to supply rubber straps with a watch like this, that sort of tends to imply a little bit more sportiness, a little bit more fun summer, a little bit more waterproofness. So 50 meters really isn't enough. It would have been great to have 100 meters to elevate the watch into a more sporty feel. And I think part of the problem of not having that water resistance is that pusher. That could potentially present a problem, even if they did add a screw down crown. So that's the watch, guys. It's the Maen Brooklyn 36 triple calendar. A very cool piece. I actually enjoyed it on the wrist throughout the week. It's been so comfortable and surprisingly very legible. A very classic, very traditional looking type of watch, borrowing a lot of its external aesthetics from companies like Rolex. You can see the oyster style case, the Jubilee style bracelet, a more boxed sapphire crystal harkening to the vintage watches. I'll leave all the links in the description. Get on, have a look. The pre-orders will be available the 15th of March. And if you sign up on their waiting list, there's also a €40 additional discount on top of that price. Hit me up in the comments, let me know what you think of this watch. I wanted to get on the channel because it actually looked quite good. Being a panda and being quite a petite experience on the wrist, it actually wore bigger than I expected because of the light colour dial. And there was actually a joy looking down at your wrist to check what the time is. Thank you again. Be well, be safe, and we'll see you all in the next video.